Hi, my name's Larry Feldman. I'm the CEO of Feldman Equities. And today we're at Castille at Carillon. This is an office building we recently purchased in August of 2019. And we are in a close-in suburb, meaning we're about 10 minutes from downtown St. Petersburg in what we refer to as the gateway office market. Now, Castille is a building that we would refer to as a Class A building. It was built in 1999. It has a lot of high quality tenants, including companies like Cisco Systems and US Trust Company, and tenants that we refer to as so-called credit tenants that are drawn to the high quality nature of the building. But the building is a bit dated and in need of upgrading. And what you will see as we walk through the building is the before, meaning this is the existing condition of the building before we renovate it and before we upgrade it. Okay, so now we're right at the front doors to the main lobby of the building. Although this is what we refer to as a high quality Class A building, what you see directly behind me is what I would refer to as a storefront look. What you can see here are door handles that are kind of a cheap metal. You can see the typical metal frame, like Johnny said, looks like the entrance to a PetSmart. And the whole look and feel of this storefront is not in keeping with what we would refer to as a Class A building. So, for example, in our building in downtown Tampa, we just completed a renovation in that building. That building is referred to as Park Tower. We put in a couple of real high quality all glass doors, and we minimize the amount of metal that you see. When you see this much metal in a storefront, it just reeks of, as Johnny said, a PetSmart look. What you see as you walk in is a classic 80s style lobby. And the epitome of the 80s look was a light fixture like this. Some people referred to in the 80s as postmodern. It was trying to recall something from the 1920s. That's similar to what's going on with these little diamond squares on the floor and this sort of pink granite look on the floor. If you went through 1,000 office buildings in 1987, I am not exaggerating, you would have seen this same granite in the same color with almost the identical style diamond flooring. Again, it was trying to recall something from the 1920s, and it really sticks now as frozen in time circa 1987. What we like to do and what we pride ourselves in doing is moving buildings into the future, at least getting them to present and possibly move them into the future. So we like to say that we have our hands on a throttle of a time machine, and we want to push that throttle forward so that when you walk into our lobbies, you want the visitor to look around, look at the flooring, look at the light fixtures, and look at the surrounds and say, oh, is this a brand new building? If that person says that, we know we've succeeded. We want a like new feel. They attract a younger population. They tend to attract tech users and the like. These types of users are the future of office space in America. Clearly, we still rely heavily on law firms and banking institutions, which have been the mainstay of our office leasing. But today, when we look out towards the future, where our office tenant is going to come from, what type of industry that tenant is going to come from, we really increasingly look to tech. So our lobbies, our corridors, our bathrooms, our tenant spaces, the whole building really needs to appeal to a millennial generation. So we're in the lobby, and I'm just going to turn it over to Johnny to talk about some of the detailed things that we're going to be doing in this lobby going forward.
Yeah.
You're seeing the before, and then Johnny's going to now talk about what we're doing.
Yeah, so the renovations that are planned that you'll likely see in the video here, the main thing that we're going to do is work on the flooring. So as we said, this is a very 80s look. So what we'll do is we'll hit it with a lot of light, we'll go with a much brighter tile. That really is going to bring it up a notch and elevate it to a more modern look. The bull nose as well, this is very 80s, this whole look of the rounded look, and it separates the wood from just a regular drywall that was painted. So we'll take this out, we'll make it straight, we'll give it some clear-cut lines, and that also makes the building look a lot more modern. The lighting, Larry spoke about the chandelier, so this is going to get changed as well. We're going to put some really modern, beautiful pieces on it. And then the furniture as well as the plants will change that in the building.
One thing we do in every renovation we perform is guided by an overriding theme which we take from the Bible, and that is let there be light.
That's a good one, yeah.
When you walk into this lobby, there is a decent light level, but it's not what I would call bright enough, and we really want our lobbies to shine. We find that when we put in this new LED lighting and we turn it up to what we refer to as very high Kelvin, which is the temperature of the lighting, when we turn up the Kelvin, we bring up the feel of the space. Actually, I find my mental outlook changes. Okay, so this is what we refer to as a multi-tenanted corridor that I'm standing in. It's not a terrible corridor, it's just that it is probably about 50% of the level of lighting that we would like to see. And what's happening is all of the light coming from the ceiling is hitting this dark carpet and getting sucked up, and the light is not reflecting. So Johnny will talk about some of the things that we're doing with lighting and with flooring to change this corridor with our renovation.
The first thing, as Larry was saying, that will change in this corridor are the lighting levels. What you're looking at right here is old fluorescent lighting that was very famous in the 80s, and what we've been doing now is changing all of these out for LED fixtures. Another thing that fixes, other than just the light levels, which are much brighter and also more like sunlight, is the scalloping that you see on the walls. So you'll see there's light and then shadow, light and then shadow. So with the LEDs, it's 360 degrees and it'll look very good. The second thing we'll change are the flooring and the base that goes with it. The flooring is a really ugly looking old brown that sucks up all the light. So what we'll do is we'll make it a lot brighter. And same thing with the base. We're gonna either paint it or replace it completely. Another thing that I just wanted to touch on is all of the little details that go in making a corridor look great, such as the plates. These are yellow, we'll change them to white. The hardware on doors is the old brass finish, so what we'll do is we'll change that to nickel. There's just a lot of little details that you can change that will really elevate a room and make it more modern.
That's a very good point. All right, so we are not in a movie theater. We are not in nighttime. This is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Tampa, but we are in a very dark elevator.
Hold on, I need my sunglasses here. It's way too bright. You're right, it's really dark there.
What we believe in is really bright, airy, modern-looking elevators. The flooring will be changed to be lighter material, increasing the light level up top, radically changing the color to a much whiter-looking tile. You get a reflectivity. The light level in the elevator is probably going to quadruple.
Welcome in the restrooms of Castille at Carillon. These look like they were made in the 70s, 80s, which they probably were because they're building original. And the details that really give it away are this red countertop, the pink flooring, and the old wall covering, the really trim levels of lighting in the restrooms. What we'll do in these restrooms to make them more modern is replace the countertops, rip up all this old tile and put in a much brighter looking tile in its whites and grays. We'll replace the lighting to beautiful LED spotlights. We will put what's called wet walls, so it's tile on the walls, and we'll replace this ugly wall covering to be a lot newer and more modern, as well as the doors in the back there. We will upgrade all of the hardware and we'll upgrade the finish on the doors so that it's a darker finish and it has a better contrast with the lighter colors we're gonna have in the restroom.
Okay, so again, these are underrated areas, and yet 90% of the tenants in this building will transit through this space. This is the garage level of the building, and this is the elevator entrances to the building. So the first point that we want to change is that these doors are extremely foreboding in that they're jet black in color and they suck up all the light. We're going to clad these doors in a material that will actually make the doors look like a modern stainless steel, very reflective material. It's actually a tape that we put over, fairly low cost, and yet it makes the product completely transform into looking like a stainless steel door. The flooring will be replaced with a modern tile. This is a very institutional grade tile that you've seen in 1,000 buildings. Looks like typical garage tile. Let's do it as cheap as we can. We want to upscale the tile, upscale the lighting, change out the color of the doors, and make this a much more hospitable, brighter area look. So this is one of the most overlooked items in an office building, and it's actually one of the dumbest places to save money in terms of upscaling an office building. And let me give you the statistic. About 90% of the people who pay the rent, meaning the people who commute every day and who sign the leases, park their cars in the parking garage, walk out of their car and walk up to the garage entrance. And as you can see, this is a very dark, dreary, and industrial looking entrance, which is typical of 1,000 parking garages you've been in. And the other problem is there's no sense of arrival. There's no signage here that really tells you this is the entrance to the building. You kind of have to guess at it. And I don't know if you've all had this experience, but it happens to me a lot. I drive my car into a parking garage, and now I have no idea where the building entrance is or where to go. And I have found myself in one of those mazes, endlessly walking around trying to find an entrance to a building. So one of the ways that we solve the problem is by creating a beacon of light all around the entrance to the garage. So where the elevator bank is and where the point is that you need to get to access the building, we create a ring of light all around what we refer to the elevator core. This is the elevator core. The elevators are just behind this wall. We create a ring of light all around us, and then on this surface that I'm standing on, we paint it in a very light gray paint, an epoxy paint that is highly reflective. So there is material actually in the paint that will pick up the light that will come off from this concrete area here and will bounce it right off so that this whole area will light up. And then this wall will become what we refer to as a branding wall. A branding wall is a wall that will show the building, a picture of the building, perhaps the new lobby, or perhaps the exterior of the building with its logo, with its name. And it will be intensely lit with LED lighting, so at night, this whole area will look very bright, very safe, and very inviting. And that's a key to every one of our garage renovations. We couple that with LED lighting that's way, way brighter than the old fluorescent lighting that's in here that we're going to be replacing.